All right, got Mr. Wu here, and today he's going to discuss all about some beautiful photography books that he's collected. Okay, Mr. Wu, what do we got here?
Okay, books. This is not a book review. I just take a sampling of books I have easy, because if I want to take out all my books, I got to climb over some cupboards and things like that. So this is what I have at hand. So the first one I want to show you is this. This is a condensed version, the Focal Encyclopedia of Photography. I have the original one, but it's stuck somewhere, so it's a 2-volume book hardcover. So this one is a one volume hardcover with no plates, but with the illustration. So this was produced by the Focal Press. In the old days, this publisher was the main photography publisher. I think they are based in UK, and they have many titles. And so this one is what we call the Bible of photography. In those days, we don't have internet, and we don't have internet and all these things, Wikipedia. So this one, everybody rely on encyclopedia. So if you're a normal student, you have the Britannica Encyclopedia. Your parents were rich enough, you bought a whole set. And every year when they added new editions, you just buy the new edition and you just have this whole set. And some libraries, good libraries would have it, but the men on the street, they don't have this, and this is a storehouse of knowledge. Although it's a bit technical, it's A to Z, cover everything, from chemistry to optics to calculation to flash to electronics and to country, which country, what they discover in photography, and the number of cameras they produce, and so on. So it's all very detailed. I'm not going to go through every part of it, but maybe you just take a sampling. So they got diagrams like different types of camera. So they show you how the different types of camera were. And then they go into particular cameras, like single lens reflex. They go to film cassette. So practically everything you want to know. So if you want to know about panorama photography, then you go to panorama, and they will teach you the basics. Today you have cameras with panorama setting, but you need the basics. When you have a panorama camera, besides putting the camera level, the important thing is when you swing the camera, it must be swung at the front nodal point. The lens group got the front nodal point and the rear nodal point, and it has to pivot on the front nodal point, not pivot on the tripod socket or the camera body. So when you pivot on the front nodal point, later on when you stitch the photograph, it's very easy to stitch without wastage and so on. So those are the fundamentals. So this book, this encyclopedia will give you the basics of it. See, panorama. Panorama, where are you? Yeah. So they don't show the camera, but they show you how you're supposed to pivot on the front nodal point. And then when you join the picture later on, it's much better. So even with a digital camera, if you put, in fact, the attachment, they call it for virtual reality. It's a special bracket where you mount. They make provision for that, so for you to adjust, so that when you swing the camera, it's swinging on the lens point, not on the camera point. So all these are inside here. So you just have to take your time, go through everything A to Z. They cover all the technical thing, except for the very modern one. So I think the new edition, they have incorporated certain sections for digital imaging and for zoom lens. But this is a very old publication, but never go out of date. The theory is the same. Of course, the units of measurement are there is the old measurement in pounds and in sterlings and so on, because that's where it was published. So I learned a lot from this. I practically go through every single page myself. And every time I need a reference, this is there. Focal Encyclopedia of Photography. There's one more book I did not bring. I tried to find it, but I can't find it. It's called the Morgan and Morgan Photo Lab Index. You can go Google it. I have in my computer the soft version of a condensed version. Morgan and Morgan Photo Lab Index, published by Time Life Group. What they did is they took every technical sheet of every film and chemical company. So they took the technical data from Kodak, from Agfa, Ilford, Fuji, and so on. All the technical data for the chemistry, the technical data for the film, and they put it in a loose leaf binder. So it's very thick. You can take it off and put a new one. So something out of date, you take the old one out and then you put the new one in. So this is a photo lab index. It covers all the chemistry, the data on the film, how it behaves to light, the sensitometric characteristic, whatever, it's all there. So you can make a reference. So here, since I sell Leica a lot, so I came back from Germany. They produced this book, Leica Pocket Book, 9th edition. This used to be published by the Hove company, same people with this, but I think over time, that company no longer exists, so a new group of people took over. They call it the Red Dot Photo Book. So they have this. If you are into Leica old cameras, collecting Leica camera, this is a must-have, like a Bible. I think it's about 50 euro, 49.9 euro. So here, they break down into a different section. One is the screw mount camera. Then they break down to the M camera, the compact, the SLR, then the lenses, the M lens, the screw mount lens, the R lens, the SL lens, and so on. So what they do is they give you a description when the camera was made, other variations, how many units were produced, and special characteristics. So if you want to come across a used camera, you can identify from this book. At the back, they also got a chart on the production numbers and the date. So you can trace which era that product came from. So good for me because we receive a lot of old camera and we like to identify which is the actual one. And there is a detailed graph. I don't know how to read this exactly. The MTF curve for each lens. So, and then note. So this one must have for every Leica lover. Now, Kodak was a company famous for introducing photography. They started the man on the street photography revolution. They started by you push the button, we do the rest. So they make the Kodak box camera, the Kodak Brownie. So they preloaded the film. So when you go to the store, you buy the camera and you go and click and you bring the whole thing back. They will take the camera, take your film, and they reload with new film. So you take back the new camera, reload it, and then they will process and print for you. So they have the slogan, we push the button, you push the button, we do the rest. That popularized photography. So over the year, this company in Rochester, I think they are in Rochester, in New York, I think they are listed on the stock exchange. They only employ the engineers and the chemists. You need to have the qualification. So they produce a lot of products, many, thousands. You have the catalog on all the products with plenty. And so they produce a lot of good books. One of these is a little small one, Kodak Master Photo Guide. You must remember, these are the days there's no internet, no Wikipedia, nothing. So with this one, this little book with a tab, you can learn everything from exposure. They got exposure dial. Yeah. They got this exposure dial. You dial in the ISO, you dial in the subject matter lighting condition, and they give you a guide, what shutter speed, what aperture to use. Then they got for low light, existing light. If the night time, they have another one for exposure. That's for studio. For studio, they got one for filter. For black and white, you peep through and then you see the contrast, what the filter will do to your scene. So you got red, yellow, green, blue. So you peep through. There is a guide when to use which filter. Of course, filter, they give you the filter factor, how much exposure increase. They got a dial for assisting light. So assisting light like maybe circus, night street, night street after the rain. After the rain, the water is on the ground and different. So all kind of lighting condition, fluorescent light, then they will give you the guide as a starting point for your exposure. For flash bulb, for close-up, depth of field. They also put a gray card. So you got a gray card, you can take your light reading. So this served me very well. Very good for me. So very small Kodak Master Guide. Then when you advance, you get the professional data guide. It's the same thing, but on a bigger scale. So they cover more area, as even they have section for the large format camera. How to tilt the camera to get the effect you want, okay? What you do. And then optical formula, focal length, lens, depth of field chart. And again, they give you the gray card. But this time, not only gray card, they give you more. They got the, let's see, where the gray card? Yeah. Yeah, and then if you are using sheet film, the sheet film got the identifying notch at the top right hand corner. So in the dark, you feel the notch, that will determine which film it is. Then otherwise you won't know whether it's a black and white or color or what. So this notch will let you know when you feel in the dark. Yeah, gray card, gray scale and color chart. So you want to take a painting, some famous painting, you put this in front of the painting and you take a shot. So in the lab, we reproduce this chart so it matches accurately. So when we got this chart right, we got the painting right. So this gray card at the gray scale. And then they also have a checklist. If you're going for a big job, what are the things to bring along and what are the things to check? So they got checklists. What you do to do 12 hours before you depart, you remove the film from the freezer, you set it up to settle to room temperature, essential equipment, then plus the non-photographic equipment, the Swiss Army knife or whatever. So they give you a checklist. It's like the one where you want to go into the fighter plane. They got a checklist and they want to say you check and double check and triple check. So you got to check. When you check through, the chance of you missing out something is less. So, Master Guide. And those who dabble in the darkroom, I used to sell darkroom equipment also. So one of the company we dealt with was the Dust, Italian company. They make good enlargers. Their slogan was, picture taking is half the fun. Making picture is twice the fun. So if you take picture and you develop yourself and you make your own enlargement, that's wonderful. So Kodak come up with this Darkroom Master Data Guide. Gray card, and then they got all the data, what kind of film to use, what kind of developer, then the exposure time, developing time, then the characteristics of the chemicals they produce. Of course, this is a Kodak book, so they only mention the Kodak chemicals. Then the replenishment chart and all this data. Then they got the sample. They got many types of photographic paper. So they got sample of the image. Okay, yeah, this is the Kodak paper. Suitable for what? Another type. So they got the whole list. Like this, I don't know how long I have been here. I think I should have been having this for more than 20 years. But you see, no fading, no discoloration. Yeah? The image is still intact after so long. So this one is a guide, which kind of paper to use for which kind of subject. So, enlarging computer. So all this is related to the darkroom, how to mix chemical, how to store chemical, and so on. So this one, with this, you are set to run. And of course, I handle all the other cameras. So from time to time, the camera company produces nice books like this. They are not technical books. This one is about the Olympus lens, all the lenses that they made. But they make in a very easy storytelling form. So they engage photographer, and he made a trip to the US. I think he went to the countryside. So different part of the American countryside use the various lenses, and then he makes some comments on it. Then some part of it, they talk about the lens in detail, and then about the guy who designed My Tiny. So how they started, and then My Tiny and his early team, My Tiny, and how they do all the products. So it's easy reading. So for me, it's a reference. Sometimes I come across the particular Olympus lens. I want to know the aperture, the filter size, how many elements, how many groups. So this is my reference. So actually, today you can't actually do without the books. Although maybe now most people don't handle the physical books. You can probably find the electronic version of the book, but nevertheless, it's still the book. Without the book, it's like going blind, driving at night, we cannot see the road. So with the book, it takes a lot of the mistakes away, and once you understand it, then it's easy. Sometimes I have to deal with new timers who are new to the camera, but they don't have the fundamentals, so sometimes a little bit difficult. So we have to go through the basic. Once you get through the basic, then we can improve. Then you know at least what you are doing right and what you are not doing wrong. Sometimes you take a great picture, but you can't reproduce it again. But the one guy who developed this system of light measurement and development, the zone system, Ansel Adams. So he put the scientific approach to the developing and light measurement, so that it's highly repeatable, and you can have the same success all the time. So we need to have that. Photography is half science, half art. So we got to marry the two. So books, you still need them.
Great. Wow, that's a lot of great information. So you guys out there, make sure you keep your books and don't sell them off at a garage sale.
Yeah.
Right? Unless you sell them to Mr. Wu. He'll gladly take donations on books. Okay, thank you, Mr. Wu.
Right, welcome.
We'll see you next week.
Right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.